Video, I'm going to show you how to learn anything very fast. And this is the exact process that I use to learn stuff. For the past 14 years in business, and more recently, I just broke the Guinness World Record for fastest selling nonfiction book, which generated $106 million in sales in less than 3 days. So if you see everyone who's moving ahead of you faster than you, and you hate that everyone's moving ahead faster than you might not be as smart as you think you are. Now, that has good news and bad news. The bad news is you might not be as smart as you think you are. The good news is it's under your control to change and you can do it quickly. So this is the process that I'm going to walk through on how to learn anything fast. So number one is, that was pretty, I see that? That was pretty good. Hold on. We'll use the original one. That was pretty good. Okay. So number one is we have to understand what learning is. All right. So what is learning? So learning is same condition, new behavior. So that means you do something different in the same exact situation. So if I go knock, knock, and then open the door and you say, hi, this is Alex. And then I say, close the door. Next time I want you to say, welcome to Starbucks. So then I go knock, knock, they open the door and they say, welcome to Starbucks. Same condition, knock, knock, new behavior, welcome to Starbucks, right? To the same degree, if I go knock, knock after saying that and the person says anything besides welcome to Starbucks, that person is a little dumber than the person who got it on the first shot. The number of times it takes you to change your behavior in the same condition is a dictation of how intelligent you are. Because learning is same condition, new behavior. Intelligence is speed of learning. Intelligence is a rate. It's a question of speed. If you think about how you describe somebody, like he's quick, he picks things up fast. So for you, there's a couple ways to think about this. Way one is, he picks things up in terms of it takes fewer iterations for that person to change their behavior. That's good. But guess what else you can do if you're somebody who didn't have that level of, call it intellect. Let's say it does take you more iterations. Guess what you do? You can change how quickly you do that. So some people might take 3 iterations to get something right, but they delay the iterations once a week, another week, another week. If you say, I'm going to lock in and I'm going to do 7 iterations because I'm twice as dumb as they are, but I'm going to do them all in one day because I'm going to not let any light in my room and I'm just going to lock in, then guess what? You are smarter than them because you change your behavior faster than they did on a timeline basis rather than an iteration basis. So there's 2 vectors you can think of here. And this is important to me to realize this because I went to Vanderbilt, fancy school. I think it's like top 5 or 7, whatever, in the US right now. And when I was there, I felt like I had below average intelligence of the people who were in the room. And so I was like, how am I going to be able to beat these guys? And so I just said, okay, I'll just work from the time I wake up until 9 p.m. every day. So that's what I did. From 9 to 9, I was in the library unless I was in class or I was in the cafeteria or the gym. Those are the only things I did. I ate, I studied, and I worked out from 9 to 9. That was it. That was all I did. And once I realized that, I was able to move forward a lot faster than other people, even though I felt like they had intellectual capacity superior to me. They might have been able to learn things in 3 iterations, but I was able to do my 10 iterations faster than they were able to do their 3. And so fundamentally, learning is same condition, new behavior. Now, what is a skill? People have said this a lot. A skill is a chain of adapted behaviors. All right, that means you learn multiple things, same condition, new behavior, same condition, new behavior, same condition, new behavior. When you chain those together, that is a skill. So, thing 1, understand what learning is. Number 2, deconstruct the skill. So what does this mean? So, skills are typically chunked up or chunked down. So basketball, some people are like, he is good at basketball. They're saying he has many skills that relates to this thing. Now within basketball, you've got dribbling, you've got shooting, you've got passing, right? These are sub skills underneath of basketball. To the same degree in business, you can be good at business versus good at marketing, good at sales, good at product, good at hiring. All of these are sub skills underneath of those larger skills. Now, if we were to go even deeper than that, we also have generalizable skills across domains. So if I have great hand-eye coordination, I might be better or learn something faster. Like I will learn how to shoot faster, but I'll also learn how to play ping pong faster. I'll also learn how to serve a tennis serve faster.
Good hand-eye coordination is a very good thing to have. If you don't have it, you should really learn how to get it, which is actually very easy to learn. You just need to find out what you're good at, how to use that at what you're good at, and just keep on using it over and over and over again, like repetition.
I have generalizable skills. And so a specific skill is a skill that does not generalize across domains. Now, when you have more specific skills, it's more a degree to which it generalizes rather than does it generalize or not. So I could have that eye-hand coordination thing, which would pretty much generalize to anything that I use my hands and my eyes, which is a lot of stuff, right? But would shooting the specific skill generalize over to, I don't know, chess? Probably not. It's like, well, you're using your eyes and hands, but not really. It's a lot more about decision making, right? And so, are there closer ones? Would that go better for beer pong? Probably. That would generalize over. My foul shots versus beer pong probably just generalize to a great degree. Not 100%, but decent.
You have it listen, you type it in, and then you go digging.
You literally just drag it in, and it'll be an audio clip.
This plugin is especially sick because as soon as you put something in, it's a limitless amount of potential ideas.
Type in cello, hit find samples, and it will automatically find them synced to 184 BPM and D minor.
And so the reason this is important is that people, language matters. And so some of you will say, I want to get good at business, Alex. Business is not something you can get good at. It is a bucketed term that has many skills underneath of it. And since we just defined what skills are, which is adaptive change in behavior,
Adaptive change in behavior. I like that a lot too. Because when you don't adapt, you lose. You lose certain things around yourself, and you lose certain skills around this certain self.
Something, and you do 3 or 4 things in a row that get an outcome, right? Business has marketing. And guess what? Marketing is also a skill that is an adaptive chain. And so you basically have to keep chunking down until you finally figure out the skills that you can quantify in terms of behavior. And so this goes all the way up and all the way down. Like reading, writing, and speaking are generalizable skills that will apply to everything. Learning in and of itself is a skill. Like your ability to learn, your ability to figure it out. Right? And so back to this little example I have here. Many of you want to learn more stuff, but because you have not broken down the thing you want to learn, you stare at the screen and keep searching, hoping that you're going to get some recipe. But the recipe is that you have to keep breaking it down into smaller and smaller constituent parts so that you can get it into an understandable unit that you can change your behavior within. So I say this, but that then leads to point number 3. I know, right? Little open loops, keep it spicy, which is that we have to define success. Now, this is a bit of a trite term, but fundamentally, this is what it is: success of the skill. And so we would need to identify the specific behaviors and actions that demonstrate mastery of each sub-skill. So we want to get clear on what good looks like in practice. What does this actually mean? Okay. So, if I said, I want to get good at foul shots, all right? So foul shots probably have different parts associated with it. There's probably going to be, I have to measure the distance, and I could probably say, what percentage of my shots did I hit within the box, okay? What percentage of the shots did I get what percentage of them did I get in altogether, right? And then within that, I could probably say, how many times did I finish my follow through? And I don't know anything about basketball, but I would be like, okay, am I finishing above my head? Because that's where I want the follow through to be. And where is my shoulder position? Am I twisted? Am I straight up? Am I squared with the basket? How many times did I do this? And so you might hear this and be like, wow, this sounds overly complex. It's like, well, welcome to winning, right? We have to break things down, and you have to think about yourself in some ways like a child, because our ability to learn gets worse over time, right? We are less plastic, but our skill at learning, so rather our horsepower at learning is worse, but our skills at learning can get better. All right. So how do we reconcile this? If our skills get better, then it means that we are better at being specific about the thing that we need to change. Right? And if you are not specific about those things, you will wander for a long time while you are not getting good. So you have to quantify to the highest degree possible. And to be clear, you'll start quantifying things in the beginning and then you'll get better at describing them. But if you do not track, you do not care. Period. On anything. In any skill worth learning, if you aren't tracking it, you already demonstrate that you don't care because there's no way for you to know if you're getting better. And real quick, I spent 200 hours this year just making this one project. Black box. Okay. So, let me explain what I mean by this. A lot of times, people will try and create this narrative around psychology, around emotionality, around biomolecular, whatever the hell, gobbledygook. And so I can say that it is incredibly difficult to understand why something works or why people do things. But what we can observe is whether something works or whether they did something. And so we want to say, okay, we have this box. There is an output. Instead of trying to figure out what magic is happening inside of this box, we just want to focus first on the inputs. And what's interesting about focusing on the inputs is that the inputs themselves will give you feedback loop that is required in order to get better at the skill. So basically, being inefficient, sucking for a lot of reps will get you better at not being bad.
Okay, because without the repetition of reps, you will not go anywhere. You will be stagnant. You will be not going anywhere in this game of life, wherever the hell you see this game going for you, which it can go in any way, shape, or form, positively, negatively. It's just when reps compounds, reps actually compounds.
Because you will be so bad that you'll think, my God, I suck at this. I wonder if I could suck less at this. And then you'll tweak a couple things and you'll be like, wow, I'm not as bad as I once was. I'm not good, but eventually you keep doing things that make you less bad until eventually you look back and you're like, you know, if you less bad yourself 100 times, you're actually pretty good. And so this is where doing more in the beginning without the obsession on understanding why will get you closer to your goal, because so many times people say like, well, I want to understand why. You want to have a narrative that someone gives you to scratch a psychological itch, not because it inherently does anything. I'm going to give you an analogy here. Imagine we do a tennis lesson. You go to a tennis, right? And let's say you're gripping the racket. In order for you to grip the racket correctly, does the tennis pro then say, hey, we should really discover why you grip the racket incorrectly? What different teachers didn't describe to you the proper way to hold a racket? And let's try and understand the undermining emotionality behind the grip that you have. No, they're just going to get you to grip the racket correctly. And so for you, I would encourage you to ignore people who try to put on all of these whys and these psychology and the subconsciousness and the neurolinguistic programming and all this hullabaloo, when like you just need to send this email, say these words, move your body in this way, use your voice like this, hold your head up, stare straight. If someone cannot tell you what to do with either your mouth or your body, they are not giving you clear directions to succeed. And so I would encourage you to use that as your razor as who is good at teaching shit and who isn't. because they will try to appeal to some sort of mysticism that they are tapped into the universe, they'll anthropomorphize, fancy word, the universe, saying that it's whispering the secrets. Like you can have it. It's telling, like, no, there is observable reality. If you can describe that observable reality, by the way, very difficult, right? Much easier to tell someone to be charismatic.
Like and subscribe. I'll make another part 2.